All right, welcome back again. So it's time to write, one of the core parts of this app, and that's the read part of CRUD. So if you remember, CRUD was create, read, update, delete, CRUD, and we're going to do the read part this time. And the nice thing is that we actually have data that's saved up here. So there's data that's saved up here, so we can actually do read before create, which is kind of nice that we can use this other backend tool to actually do the create for us. And when we do read, what we want to do is we want to do it different than the way we did like our little temporary test. So if you remember, we had kind of a temporary test that did a .get. .get gets once, but we want to do real-time updates. So whenever it changes, we want to know about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go check out the Firestore documentation. Now, if you look at the URL that I've got in here, you should go and open up this page. cloud.google.com/firestore/docs. Interestingly, this page is kind of the newer page, but they've still got the old page up, which is kind of confusing. But this is all about the Firestore, and this is the Firestore documentation. So the thing that we're going to read is in the querying data. So there's kind of getting data, which is what we've done already. So that's where they've kind of got the .get example being here. There's the .get. But what we really want to do is we want to do it with real-time updates. So the page that you're looking for is cloud.google.com/firestore/docs, and then click on these links over here until you find real-time updates. And what you'll notice in here is there's two things you can get. You can watch a single document, so you can watch a single document with a document ref. So here's another example of a document ref. Or you can, third example of the document ref, listen to multiple documents in a collection, and that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to have a collection that we're going to add a snapshot listener to, and it's going to give us a whole array of things. So we're gonna use this code down here, so it's good to have up. Before we get into it, I just want to mention there's also the old documentation, which is at firebase.google.com. So the new one is cloud.google.com, and the old one is firebase.google.com. But I think this is funny. It's docs/firestore, whereas this one was firestore/docs. But you can see that they've actually got a lot of the same information. So querying data, getting real-time updates. The two documentations kind of parallel each other, which is fine. But we'll go ahead and use the newest one. But you can see that this is an example here of getting a collection, which is what we're going to do. All right, enough talk. Let's go back into the code. So what I want to do is I want to go back into my adapter, and I'm going to write some code in the adapter. So the adapter has these three methods: onCreate view holder, which is done, bind view to the holder, and get item count. And so we need to write these bottom two. But before we can do that, we'll do just a little bit of Firebase Setup. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start off by making an array of something. I'm going to temporarily wait on what it is, but this is going to be my movie quotes array, and so it'll be a new array list for now. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that it's a new array list for now, just so that it's always something. It'll just start off empty. But what is this thing going to be of? When we did the name adapter, they were just strings. When we did food, they were actually foods, and we made a food object for them. Here what they're going to be is document snapshots. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. And you notice document snapshot comes from the Firestore, right? Now we could have made a custom class called movie quotes, and we could convert them from document snapshots into movie quotes, but there's really no need. So we're just going to have an array of document snapshots. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to have a place to put the code that's in here. Like where do we put, collection, like on snapshot change and things like that. Oh, that's the old documentation. I want the new one. Where do we put this code at? And really what we want is we want a place where this kind of runs once, right when the adapter is made. Well, the way I kind of set it there, hopefully gave you some ideas. When the adapter is made is its constructor. So what we can do is there's a default constructor for all objects, but you can override it which kind of gives you an opportunity to add some code. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a collection reference. So this is our movie quotes collection ref. A little verbose on the name there. Usually I make them shorter, but that's okay. And it's going to be a Firebase Firestore get instance dot collection for our movie quotes path. So it did get kind of long there, so maybe I will use a shorter name here. So I'll just call it like maybe quotes ref or something like that, or movie quotes ref. So what are we doing here? We've used this before, Firebase Firestore.get instance, that gives us our database. And then on our database, we want only the collection of movie quotes. It turns out that's our only collection, so it's getting our one and only collection. I also want to be good here. And before, when we were doing it, we just kind of put these hard-coded strings in places. But where these get you in trouble is, you know, let's say you typo somewhere, right? You just have like a movie quotes or something like that. It works out very badly. And if we have this string in multiple places, you're better off making a constant somewhere. Since these constants are going to get used in different files, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a new Java class. Sorry, it's off the screen here. New Java class called constants. No superclass or anything. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have this be an area where I put public static final strings. So for example, like that tag that I previously, I think I put it over here. Really, this should be instead of in the main activity, it should be in a constants file. I probably made somebody mad there who used it. Maybe the only person that used it was commented out, so that's okay. But really, putting things into another like shared location is good. You'll also see some people put constants like this into the strings.xml file. I personally don't do that just because I feel like things that are code belong in code files, right? And that's the way I prefer to separate it out. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to have tag is just useful for making logs. It's just a good thing to have. But we're going to have a collection path, and we're going to call it movie quotes. So you probably won't care about this change, to be honest, but instead of typing the word movie quotes, we're going to say constants dot collection path. Why is that better? So it avoids magic numbers. It avoids these like specially typed strings, and we're going to kind of maintain that pattern of using that constants file. All right, so this reference is really a pointer to a location in the cloud, right? So that's what it's all about. And what we're going to do is we're going to say movie quotes ref add snapshot listener, and we're going to make a new event listener. And sorry, some of these things are so long. I'll try to get them on the screen here. But what this is doing is it's saying add a snapshot listener, and it's going to be a new listener. So it needs a semicolon at the very end of this long line. And inside of here, it's got this on event, which receives two things. It receives the document snapshots and then also an exception. So the first thing we'll do is we'll handle that exception. We'll say if the exception is not null, then terrible things have happened. So we'll just use our tag here, and we'll say, I don't know, listening failed. That's really bad, right? Oops, log that warning. And we'll just return if that happens. So if you get an error, just abandon ship, right? If it was successful, what we want to do is we want to set our movie quotes data snapshots. What do we call that? We called it movie quotes. You know what, I'm going to rename that. I'm going to call it movie quote snapshots, just because I like that name better. So movie quote snapshots, give myself a little room for my head, is equal to document snapshots dot get documents. There's a couple ways to use this document snapshots. One is just get documents, and you can see it returns a list of document snapshots. You can also get the changes to know what's new, but it's easiest just to go ahead and get the documents. And then I'm going to add a line on here, which I know I'm going to need for my adapter. I'm going to say notify dataset change. So whenever it changes, I'm going to notify my adapter. And I'm not worried about animations on insert. I'm just going to tell it, hey, it changed. So this code does a lot, right? So it's going to get the new snapshots and it's going to actually save them off to this array. While it does a lot, it doesn't do anything that's visible yet because you still have to bind it to the view and you have to get the item count. We'll do the item count first, that's easy. That's just movie quote snapshots.size. And then the onBind view holder, we've got this movie quote view holder, right? And he has movie quote text, so we'll just say set text. And we're going to set him to the document snapshot. So I'm gonna go ahead and stub that line out, and then I'm also going to have the quote text, and so I'm going to set his text. So that's our goal. We want to set those two text, and then we'll be in good shape. Let's go ahead and do this in a couple different lines. So we've got our document snapshot, which we'll just call DS, document snapshot. And so this is going to be our movie quote snapshots.get I. So that's now our document snapshot. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the movie out of this. So we're going to say document snapshot.get. And what you have to do is you have to say what you're going to get. And what we want to get here is we want to get the movie. Now it needs to be cast to a string. And we're the ones who are making the data, so we know that it's going to be a string. And so I'll go ahead and put the movie in right here. The one thing I want to do is I do want to actually make this into a constant. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this over here. And I'm going to say public static final string. So I'll just call this my key for my movie. And then just while I'm at it, I happen to know that there's going to also need to be a key for the quote. And I forgot, I like to put the quote first. And again, it works just inlining these things, but it helps you with typos. There, I made a little typo. But it helps with typos if you have constants like this. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say get constants.movie, key movie. And then I'm going to do the quote as well. I know that kind of got confusing when I swapped back and forth between files there, but I'll pause and look at it here. All right, so we could do this in the same line, but I'm just going to go ahead and break it up. So we've got the document snapshot, which is this one from the array. And then from that document snapshot, we're going to pull off the quote and the movie. And you have to cast those as strings because get just returns a generic object, but we know that they're strings, so we just cast it. And then we're going to set the movie and the quote. I'm going to do the quote first because I'm trying to consistently do the quote first even though I keep forgetting. So now a lot should have just happened. So now when I run it, kind of cross our fingers here, we should be getting the data from the back end. That's what this like add snapshot listener is doing. We should notify dataset changed, and then we should hopefully do a bunch of binding to it. So as soon as this is up, boom, we see a lot of things. So this is exciting. So we've got everything is awesome, our quotes 1 through 9, and Yo Adrian. Now you will notice that there's no particular order, but that's expected. And then the neat thing about this is, if I can get these both on the screen, is it should be listening for changes, right? So let's just say so this is movie 8. Let's just say I deleted this document, so I'm going to delete movie 8. It should just go away over here. So I don't know if you could see that, but I'll do a couple of them. So here's movie quote 5. It's right at the top. So if I delete him, as soon as I hit delete, you can see he just goes away. You could also edit things. So like let's say I took movie 6 and I called it 654321. And I hit update. As soon as I do that, you can see his movie changed down there. And if I make his quote, tempted to make it 666, but I'll change to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can see that we're doing live, real-time updates. And it's kind of cool, right? So this is kind of the heart of the app, so I want to go and do a check-in at this point. I'm using constants, which is good for best practice. I remove my constant from this specific main activity. And then I kind of did the heart of what Firebase is. And you can see it's not hard. It's add Snapshot Listener. And then we use an on event. And we listen for when the documents change. And then we just notify that the data set's changed. And then we bind them to the view. And then there's also a set size down there, which is off the screen, right? So this is the R in CRUD. Read is done. Great, and so we'll go ahead and cut that one off now. Now we will revisit read a little bit once we start fixing the order, but it's good enough for now. All right, see you next time. Bye.